You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Charge Hayner at Zoom the TBT, and we are doing our Charleston rewind tonight. Me from Columbus and Charge from his home. So we are both in Ohio. Charge, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic tonight. Obviously, just coming off that West Virginia regional. It was great to be out of town watching some great basketball, but good to be home for a few days to watch Columbus and then head out to Dayton not too far after that. So can't wait.
Should be fun. Should be fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm here in Columbus, so I can't wait to watch the games. It's been a lot of fun. Let's just really get right into this. Charge, what do you think the best game in Charleston was?
Yeah, for me, best game was easily that game between Team 23 and Heard That. That just had a little bit of everything. Just two really high caliber teams doing battle. We had some pregame trash talk. GM Mike Illiano throwing it.
We know
out
that
there.
guy. In fact, we're gonna have guests later. Maybe he'll be on.
Yeah, he may be very close, but obviously, Mike, very confident in his team, and had a mission to take down. Heard That, obviously one of the biggest trash talkers on Twitter and in the TBT community, all in good fun. But the trash talk, pretty much right after the press. Interviews got out there, that kind of created some buzz, so that was just a lot of fun to hear that. And on the record, both of those guys are great. I don't think there's anyone nicer than Ott and John. If you really sat down and talked to those guys, fantastic people. Mike Illiano, we know him well, fantastic people. So it was blown up on the Twitter, but both very good natured people, and a lot of fun. But aside from the lead up, then you get into the game, and this game was intense. This was a tight game throughout. We knew it was going to be hard fought. That Heard That crowd was amazing that game. The first game was a little lighter than I expected for Heard That crowd, but there was a lot of green in the crowd. They brought the drum, they brought their mascot, and there was a lot of support for Heard That. So it was just a fun game, a fun environment. And then, of course, you get to the dramatic Elam ending. So, Heard That had to make a comeback, make a run in that game. And, when these games come down to the last basket or two to advance to the next round, it was just really dramatic, really fun, great environment, and just loved everything about that game, from the lead up to the game itself, to the Elam ending, to the environment. And that's probably the best game for me.
Yeah, I had a couple in mind. That was my second choice. It was a wonderful game, an incredible game. I went with Sideline Founding Fathers, mainly because the guys from Sideline Cancer got stretched. You get fat, you get happy, you win, and then you get a little out discombobulated. And they kind of, the whole, the phrase "fuck around and find out." They fucked around and almost find out. They were tight in the first half. Founding Fathers played really hard. Hit a lot of shots, had a lot they were playing for their teammate, for a first-time team, and they made it really closer in Elam than I thought they would. So that was an incredible environment to see that sort of 16 seed almost have a shot to pull out the upset. Would have been really historic, really great. So that was my first choice. But yeah, that 23 and Heard game was also incredible. So, Charge, what was your biggest surprise?
Yeah, it's kind of piggybacking a little bit off the Founding Fathers and that JMU team. And like I said, they came in, they weren't intimidated, but I call it a surprise a lot because of the seeding, a lot because they were in first-year teams. But these first-year alumni teams came out and almost shocked the world. So we talked about JMU and Sideline, and came down to a next basket wins situation, which was fantastic. But don't forget, we also had Woco Showtime versus West Virginia. So you got a 1 seed, you got a 2 seed, almost getting taken down by a 16 and 15. So that Woco Showtime, once again, everyone knew they were in a 15 seed, and then they showed up, Fletcher, and that team played hard, almost took out West Virginia. And same thing with East Tennessee State University. So I put it into the surprising bucket, but I think after seeing these teams, these really set a foundation for these teams for years to come. That is just, to me, insane that the one regional, we almost had a 16 and a 15 go to a next shot win and almost knock down the top 2 seeds. That was just wild and entertaining.
Yeah, that Woco game, that comeback was really something. You're Mr. Positive, as well known. I'm actually pretty negative. My biggest surprise, well, was Armored Athlete just getting smacked around. I was surprised by that. They're a long-term OG team, a great team. We expect them to come back with vengeance. The coaching staff, AJ Mahar, all those guys are really good. So it's not a question of if they'll avenge their loss. It's more a question of when and how. I expect great things from that program. So I'm not at all surprised they lost, because obviously they lost to a good team, but I am surprised by the spread, so to speak. But that says just how good the Buccaneers were, though. They were a really credible team. So they came to play really hard. Now, talking about the best games and the surprise interesting, but what was your favorite moment of Charleston?
Yeah, and just real quick on Armored Athlete, I've got to stop picking them to win, because the years that I picked them to win and do really well, they bow out early. The years I'm like, I don't know about Armored Athlete this year. They keep on moving. So I'm trying this reverse thing. Love the team, AJ, Jess, good friends of the pod. It was awesome meeting those guys live, but I think I'll have to switch it up next year. Whatever I think Armored Athlete's going to do, I'm going to pick the opposite. But the moment worth remembering, I don't think there's any other choice here than the founding fathers. And going back to AJ Davis, I think it was a lot of dust in that arena. It was just
it was dusty. It was very dusty.
It was very emotional. Just even seeing him out there, warming up with the team. I got a couple of texts from some folks saying, "Oh, wow, check out the guy warming up. Is he, what's the story?" And a lot of people didn't know the story, but obviously if you've been following the TBT, Good Samaritan pulled over on the side of the road, somewhere near Columbus, and unfortunately was in an accident and lost both his legs. So, just inspiring to see him out there. I mean, this just happened in May, and then to, be announced in the starting lineup, participate in the jump ball was just really inspiring, really special, and not to overshadow. I mean, that was such a big moment. And then James Madison also had Camilla Smalls on the roster, and this was a close game, and put Camilla Smalls in the game to compete with the men, and looked fantastic out there. And so just really good inspirational moments like that by James Madison really stood out, that I'll probably remember from TBT for forever now.
So this is a good thing about having a partner podcast. You guys understand each other. That was actually also my first choice, but I had backups because that was an incredible moment. But a couple of things also came to mind, and those were, again, not a dry eye in the place. But two other things worth mentioning. The Team 23 Elam was both a buzzer beater and an Elam by Sword. That was in a shocker. So from a pure basketball standpoint, that was the moment of Charleston. And a little bit of a minor shout out to the Woco comeback. That was also quite incredible. So that was a huge comeback, and that's really worth mentioning. Charge, best player of the region, most valuable player of Charleston.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of them listed here, so I won't go through them all, but there are a couple I will call out if you don't. But obviously, Marcus Keene, most valuable player. That's a no-brainer. Marcus.
I actually don't have a backup there, so
he's called. Yeah, just an incredible performance. First game, he caught a flight at like 4 a.m. and just in time to play. Carried that team to a tight victory. But I mean, no bigger game than an Elam winner. To push him to the round of 8 against East Tennessee State. That was just incredible. A couple other names that stood out. John Elmore goes without saying. And if you drop the stats for West Virginia into kind of a basic fantasy format, he would have been the top player in a fantasy format at over 40.5 fantasy points per game. Shot over 43.
Such a nerd.
I've got to take the stats and drop it in there, but yeah, I mean 43%. So he would be the top player. I'll feed you with one. I know one of your favorite players, since you didn't have a backup, but DeSanta Bradford was amazing. One other guy I want to talk about is Taylor Persons for the Fort Wayne Champs. I've never seen him play up close and got to spend a little bit of time with that team, which was really cool. But I mean, he was dueling with Marcus Keene in his game and ended up shooting 63% from 3, which across both regionals, the West Virginia and Wichita, the highest 3-point percent with anyone who had 4 attempts or more per game. So that's a couple. But do you have one, or you want me to feed you your favorite player?
I do. So Keene to me was the best player. And actually, if I had to pick someone else, I actually was also thinking I kind of back up, but it's definitely a best player because I think it was Keene, and that bomb at the closeout was amazing. I will say there's an interesting dynamic. I was talking with the GM, who'll be a guest later on our show, Mike Illiano, about the idea of basketball guys know those early 2000s Lakers teams versus those Portland Trailblazers teams, where the Lakers had that focal point of Kobe and Shaq, and the Blazers had 10 good players. And we're going to see that in the in Dayton with the West Virginia Regional Final in the Elite Eight, is that you're going to see a guy with Keene, who's a stone cold killer, and the focus of their ending offense, versus a team that's stacked top to bottom with elite players at every level that have a more egalitarian view of sharing the ball. So it's going to be a really interesting contrast in what happens with one stone cold killer versus a team of 10 really good players. And that's a game I'm really excited about. And that goes to the next question. Looking ahead, Charge. Looking at that game. Go ahead. Yeah.
The guy I thought you were going to say, Sean Willett, that guy killed it.
Because Willett was an absolute beast. Thanks. We want to remember the D2 guy. Willett was literally a 6'4" pogo stick. Deserved better. His team played hard. Thank you for mentioning. Willett was an absolutely bad man in that tournament.
Yes.
So
All right, now looking ahead. Looking
ahead now. We've done the Requiem for the Fallen. Looking ahead, one thought about Sideline 23.
Jeez, I mean, this is going to be an amazing game. I mean, this could easily be a finals game when you look at Sideline. Yeah, I mean, just Marcus Keene. I mean, we talked about Marcus Keene, but they had Trey Lewis this year. I mean, still had Abel and Creek, still have Eric Thompson. So when you talk about deep teams, just like
this was good.
I mean, Sideline Cancer is deep as well. Larrier was great off the bench. I mean, these guys are good. Team 23 is ridiculously good. I think, obviously, Team 23 has a little bit of advantage in the range of their big, so Eric Griffin and Putney will take it outside. Walt Lemon is fantastic in matchups well with their guards. So this one here is tough. I hope you're not making me pick a winner today and they're looking ahead, but I just
no. We're not going to pick a winner. We're not going to pick a winner. You don't have to today. You get to think about that.
Thank you for not making me do that, especially when we have both of the gentlemen on the show tonight. I just think this is going to be probably one of the better matchups we're going to see in the round of 8. Just two elite alumni teams with a chip on their shoulder, playing for a cause, trying to get back to the old glory for Team 23. So this is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be fantastic to watch.
Well, I'll be a little shorter than you because I think we're low on time. Length at the rim. So Keene's an incredible player, but Team 23 is one of the longest teams I've seen in this event. They just have length on top of length on top of length. There's just so much size. Now, obviously, Sideline's not hurting for good Thompson. So it will be a lot of bigs, but the pure length to affect shots defensively is something I'm really curious about. Can they make Keene and Abel and Creek work harder from the perimeter to shoot over length? Ja'Cory Williams was incredible in that Herd game later, but early on, the Team 23 length really crowded him out and really gave himself for a lot of tough shots. And I'm wondering if Sideline's ready to have a plan to combat that length. So, Charge, we're almost home. We got halfway home. Any fun thoughts to sign us off with?
No, obviously you just said we need to hurry, so I'm always running late on these things. So it was a fantastic time in West Virginia to finally meet some of the people face to face that we've had on the show. The TBT crew was just more than generous and accommodating. Love those folks. The volunteers in the stadium were fantastic. The one lady would greet me every morning with a smile. She was awesome. The folks from Hall Pass doing the interviews. I mean, it was just a fantastic time. I can go on and on and on about it, but great experience. And I can't wait to hear some of your stories from Columbus, and I'll be sharing more from Dayton. So nothing aside from that as far as a wrap up. Just had a blast and can't wait to see ZoomTheTBT cover more events in the future.
In our second segment, we'll have our aforementioned guests in the somewhat audio-plagued version of ZoomTheTBT coming up next.
Hey guys, Charge Hammers at ZoomTheTBT, and we're going to go ahead and do our Charleston Rewind real quick. Charge, we have Mike Illiano right here in the hotel from Team 23, the new owner of the state of West Virginia.
His words, not mine.
And the always incredible Billy Clapper, the GM of Sideline Cancer. Gentlemen, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. Hey, thanks for jumping on. And this may be a twist. Hopefully hotel internet holds up, Hannah. You're breaking up a second there, but we're going. You know my pain from last time, but I'll start with Billy since you got Mike in the room. So, Billy, obviously you had to watch from home again this year. You had some commitments and wasn't able to make the trip. Last year was COVID.
It's called a JOB. It's called a JOB job.
That is probably priority number one.
What's that? What's that?
I coach basketball at IMG Academy. So.
Yes. So watching from home, congratulations again. Another kind of round of 8 performance, and those were some stressful games. So tell me about the sideline run, kind of what you saw from sitting afar, and once again, you're making it to the final 8.
I think just a quick recap of the 3 games. We knew that founding fathers had asked us, would we be good with having a little, the beginning of the game, having AJ Davis come out, and I knew about that, and we were all for it and thought that was, something special that we could do with, how hard they've worked over the years to get their team into TBT. And I tell you what, the minute that AJ went out onto the floor, though, I said to myself, oh, shoot, they're playing for him. And those guys really played well. They played hard, and, they were able to show that they deserve to be in TBT for years to come. And, the Fort Wayne champs, they won a close game against primetime players. I know it was back and forth. I think they won by about 10. And, we had them scouted and everything. And unfortunately for them, I know they were, had a player or 2 get injured. But, our coach, Charlie Parker, put together a great game plan. And our guys were able to, most importantly, implement that game plan. And, they did play us very tough, and we were able to pull that one out. And then I think, obviously, yesterday the challenge was, the Buccaneers team, first time in TBT, but yet they had 4 or 5 players who played in TBT multiple times, and including a player, I believe, that had won a TBT championship on their roster. So, they knew what to expect. They were going to play hard, and they had nothing to lose in the sense that they had played so well against the other 2 teams that they had beaten. So for us to withstand that, and I couldn't have been more pleased. And I said whenever we got into the Elam ending, I had hoped that our experience over the years in Elam ending would hold true. And I don't think there was any moment that Buccaneers, I could look back and say that they necessarily made a mistake. I think it was the fact that, we hit 2 3-pointers and had another play go our way, and we found a way to win.
So, Billy, staying with you for a minute, and this is something I asked Coach Parker when I was in West Virginia, and he kind of chuckled a little about blood pressure. Obviously, you guys were the 1 seed, but you made a real habit of living dangerously in West Virginia. On the road to Dayton, is that a habit you need to break?
I don't think it matters how you play as long as you advance. And I don't think we've played our best basketball yet. It really is difficult. Mike can probably relate that, we have chemistry. We have guys that have played together, but they haven't played together in a year, so regardless of that, the practices and things like that, it takes some time. And, I think more importantly, we found the way, and that's really got to be that mantra, the never die attitude that we've had. And, we had last year, as I keep hearing those TV announcers, they keep rattling off, we were down in double digits, all of our games last year. We always found a way to come back and get into them, again, and win them. Those first 4 games to our run to the championship game. So I looked at it even like yesterday. I said, we were there the whole game, and we just had to make that push. At the end of the day, we ended up winning the game. And so in a tournament where it is won and done, you got to have the we believe attitude and just find a way. That's what it all comes down to. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what a pleasure it is tonight to have both of the teams who advanced from West Virginia over to Dayton. So let me introduce Mike Illiano, GM from Team 23 again. And a little bit of a difference here. Sideline Cancer, the number 1 seed. You guys were the number 6 seed. I think folks outside of the TBT community who just tuning in might be surprised at a 6 seed advance, but those in the TBT community obviously know you guys as a 6 seed. That wasn't an issue. This has got some overseas elite DNA in there. Great coach and Mark Hughes. And so tell us about this team you put together. It's been phenomenal watch, a fun team to watch. So tell us a little bit about your team.
A lot of it A lot of the credit has to go to Mark. I mean, I called Mark up and I said, Mark, there's a similar style that I believe in that I feel like you believe in. And, you know, I won't hash out the details here, but there's things that we've talked about and we just hit it off and we said, let's like do this together. You know, there were certain things I was struggling to recruit. A lot of the players that I used to have got old. And you got these new bloods like Marcus Keene who are just unbelievable. I mean, funny story. I was standing in the tunnel when it was 57-55 Buccaneers. And when they missed the second shot off the offensive rebound, Sideline got the rebound. And I literally turned and I said, Keene's pulling. And as I turned my back like Steph Curry, and I just hear the crowd go off. So it's like, you're so familiar with it at this point that it's like, you know who's going to pull it out. So I'm really excited. I've texted Billy like weeks before this. Like, I hope we meet in Dayton. Like, it's nothing but love and respect. Like I made a new friend out of this like 6 years ago. So like anytime Billy wants to call me or message me, you know, vice versa, we'll always talk about things.
So you guys, and stay off Mike because he's right here. You guys played a couple of really tight games against Hurd and Best and really advanced in some tough matchups, but you guys did literally beat both Best and Hurd, which we all say are great teams.
Yes.
And they're worthy of respect and admiration.
Absolutely.
But you now actually have ended West Virginia as a state. There are 49 states now. You actually have ended it and you own them as a pure municipality. So are there any changes you are going to enact with Mr. Coach Hughes about this?
No, like we're all part of the West Virginia. Be realistic, like the West Virginia region is not won yet.
I didn't get that. Had you tried?
There's still another game to be played.
Siri wanted to get in there real quick. I don't know what that was all about. The tech of having two people in the same room. So Billy, going to the games moving forward, obviously friendship, the TBT is about a community. It is a zero-sum game though. You like everybody, but the goal is to win. So without divulging into scouting reports that Mike can use, what is something you're looking forward to about this game? What's something that really kind of concerns you about the matchup, or something that you're looking forward to in the matchup?
I think the one thing that I've thought about early on, because there's still plenty of time for us to really get into it, but if you've been around TBT long enough, it's now interesting that, you know, their first year in TBT was 2015. We had got into it the year before that, and we had never played them. Just like Fort Wayne Champs had been around since 2015. And this just happened to be the first year we played them. So I think it's just sort of ironic that, you know, some of these teams that now we've been in it for so long, now we end up coming and having the chance to play them. Like last year, we had never played Team Challenge ALS or Boeheim's Army. We ended up playing against both of them in the same year. So, you know, things like that, I think being not necessarily a TBT historian, but, you know, being a part of the history of from being there from the beginning, which our team was, or in the early years. You know, Mike's team advanced to the Sweet 16 that year in Chicago, and we did as well. And now actually being able to share the floor with them. And he was there from the beginning, you know, like our team, you know, Kathy Griffith was the booster from day one. I was the GM, and, you know, I've ended up coaching the team 2 different years too. And then, you know, Charlie Parker was actually one of our original players. So, you know, we've been there from the beginning, and that's sort of a neat one, you know, because Mike's been there since the beginning. And I think that's really, really special, you know, so.
Yeah, so Mike, kind of similar question to you guys. Obviously, Sideline Cancer is probably well scouted. Anyone that you talk to, it's all about stopping Marcus Keene. So I know you have a couple of big-time defensive guys. Aside from Marcus, what other kind of pieces of Sideline Cancer are you guys going to be really watching for?
Can I just plead the fifth there? like
No.
High level,
No,
yeah. And if you can't be high level,
nothing
yeah.
Coach Parker can use.
No, like I think like me and Billy are in that mode now where it's like we'll shake each other's hands at the beginning and we will shake each other's hands at the end, regardless. I mean, when Billy was in the championship last year, I sent him a text because I knew what it was like to be in that spot and not take it for granted. I don't think he's taking it for granted. his team and is back in the final 8. I mean, they're not someone we take lightly. Like, and I'm sure me and Billy would sit down and talk about how the winner of that game could win this whole thing.
Definitely. I think the winner of this is actually going to be one of the favorites to beat the Columbia's champion, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. So Billy, we're going to let you guys out of here after one more answer, but as you guys have gotten out of West Virginia, going on to Dayton, can you speak just a little bit about what it means to present a new challenge? You're halfway home. What has your team learned from this experience so far, getting halfway?
First off, when we chose our region this year, we had to go with the decision of, did we want to play basically 6 games in like 11 or 12 or 13 days, depending on how TBT did the schedule, or did we want to play 6 games in 17 days? And that was not just the decision that I made. We took that as our group, myself, Charlie Parker, Jordan Griffith, Kathy Griffith, and even 1 or 2 of our players. We got their opinions and said, what do you guys think? And what do you guys want to do? And we ultimately decided to enter ourselves into a 3-game tournament. And we knew that if we won the 3 games in that 3-game tournament, that we would get the chance to maybe get to play in another 3-game tournament. And so that's sort of the philosophy we have went about it. And I have confidence in our team that we are going to do our best, and we're going to put everything out there, and we're going to, keep the attitude and just down the stretch and just give it everything we got. And I'm sure it'll be a great game, because I know Team 23 will do the same. But that's probably when it comes down to it. I say is ultimately we chose to enter ourselves into 2 3-game tournaments. And we have a nice little break in between there, so we should be fresh when we come back for that second tournament.
Billy, one quick slip. Obviously, it's well known Charge and I are big fans of the puppies. Can you talk a little bit about your dog real fast, just because we're all big dog fans in the cast?
We got 2. Come here, Baylor. Come here, baby. Come here. Let's see if he'll hop up here. Come here, babe. Come here. Come here, babe. Come up here. So we got Silo, who's my 60-pound mix, and then we got my puppy Baylor, who's 10 and a half months. And if you did the math on that, we actually got him at the beginning of December, and we said we wanted to name him after the national champions. So you Baylor fans out there, we knew that Baylor was going to win it all, and our puppy got his namesake.
Oh, that's good. That's a good story.
Nice little dog you got there. Man alive, that thing's huge. Yeah, it's interesting, kind of the week 1 versus week 2 thing. I haven't really had that conversation with anyone, but after seeing Florida TNT win, that was kind of my mindset, that I would definitely want to break in the middle for a number of reasons. Just the rest, kind of re-game plan, get to kind of scout the other teams, in a better environment. And so it should be interesting to see the week 1 folks versus the week 2. But I think that's definitely the play I would have made.
I'll tell you this too. We took this into consideration too, and it doesn't really affect us, but we figured if there was a guy who had a nagging injury or just was a little banged up, there was not much of a chance for that guy to recover going to Columbus or to Dayton. So if we had played like in Columbus or Peoria, that would have been a quick turnaround. So we've also felt that was valuable for our team. That guys will be. They'll be healed up. They'll be feeling good. Their bodies will be rested after playing, 3 games and, what was it, 5 days, how that was. So I lose track, but it is what it is.
Yeah, pretty wild. So one of these 2 guys, either Mike from Team 23 or Billy Clapper, will be punching their ticket to the Final 4. So that's pretty amazing. So, Mike, obviously this is kind of the relaunch of Team 23, and obviously had that wildly successful year in 2015 and struggled a little bit in recent years. So obviously, very excited for you and your team. So heading into Dayton, how are you feeling about the team right now?
I feel great. Billy will tell you the same thing, that for teams to succeed in this tournament, you need a collaborative effort. Just like he can't do it without Kathy Griffin and Charlie Parker, I can't do it without Mark Hughes and Ron Kadich and my sponsor, Mark Dyer. Like, this is such a collaborative effort. And if teams think that they can just bring in a bunch of pros and the talent will win, and the people behind the scenes aren't doing work, they kind of are kidding themselves. Like there's a lot of us that like Billy here, he's talking to like debating if I wanted a week off. Like who's thinking like that? Like are half the teams thinking like that? So, when you've done this enough times, it becomes trial and error. Like, what did I do wrong the first couple of times that I can correct now?
Yeah, you got to definitely learn and grow with the event. And as this event has grown, it's gotten much more complex. The level of quality's gotten higher. And these two guys are really a testimony of their teams of how the quality's increased. Right next to me, we got Mike Illiano, GM of Team 23, and remote from Florida, GM Billy Clapper of Sideline Cancer. Gentlemen, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
And
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate this.
This has been Zoom the TBT. Signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.